One of our guiding principles is the use of the democratic process and nonviolence as a means of effecting social change that honors the inherent worth and dignity of every individual, while at the same time cultivating the good of the whole. Today, I am given great hope by the efforts of our students, moms, parents, and all of you who are here today, calling for reasonable, common-sense gun laws that seek to reduce the devastation that is caused by gun violence in our country and our world. Too long, we have been conditioned by the rigid interpretation of the Second Amendment that misguidingly believes that any regulation to the right to bear arms is a violation of our constitutional rights. This has been drilled into us by Second Amendment gun rights activists, and we have lost so much that we have lost the sight of human rights for all the victims of mass shootings. Today, we are here to say, hey, what about the human rights and the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for all people? When they wrote our U.S. Constitution and added the Second Amendment over 220 years ago, guns were not the weapons of mass destruction that they are today. When we put somebody behind the wheel of a car that could be used as a weapon of mass destruction, we insist that the operator has the maturity and training to operate that vehicle in a way that is safe and appropriate. When farmers buy fertilizer and chemicals that could be possibly used as weapons, they are expected to be licensed and learn how to use those chemicals safely. We also restrict the use of other weapons of mass destruction in the general public. We don't let people buy bazookas, we don't let people buy tanks, and we don't let people make bombs in their homes as a hobby or a leisure activity. So it makes good sense that we should ask for reasonable restrictions on guns too. I admit that as a minister of a liberal religious movement, I am not a big fan of guns. And I also recognize that there are some people who use guns for recreational purposes like hunting and target shooting and are very responsible and know how to handle those weapons safely. But I don't believe that hunting or target shooting requires an assault weapon. Quite frankly, if you need an assault weapon and a large magazine to shoot deer, you don't belong having a weapon. I joined with the 1,000-member Unitarian Universalist congregations in the Unitarian Universalist Association that have passed laws or have passed resolutions in 1991, 2014, and 2016 at their General Assembly, calling for the requirement of mandatory background checks, extending waiting periods for the purchasing of guns. These are reasonable steps that need to be taken to end gun violence. Those resolutions also call for the banning of assault-style weapons, high-capacity magazine clips, bump stocks, and these too are necessary and reasonable laws to end gun violence. I, too, have listened to some of the people who are gun rights activists who are calling for the need for increasing our funding for mental health and support for people who are going through difficult times. And one of the things I keep saying to them is, where's the rally like this that you're showing up to ask for the money from our representatives? I support you. If you do a rally for that, I will show up. The important thing is that as we are experiencing this mass of violence that is going on in our country, we need to listen to each other. We need to seek solutions that are both and not try to pit each other against each other to prevent or that create the stalemate that is the situation that we're living in now, where nothing happens. We keep talking, we keep watching, and nothing is happening. We need to take action together as people. Let us do this together. Let us make it so. And finally, I want to say to our young people, we love you. We are inspired by you. And we are with you all the way. Blessed be.
Class of 2018, Bangor High School.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right. So, yeah, honestly, I'm... All right, so I am a senior at Bangor High School, and as many of you guys know, we participated in the high school walkout in remembrance of the victims of the Parkland shooting. And as Lauren and I were hanging up pictures of the 17 victims outside of our cafeteria, it hit me that these people weren't much different from us. It was a terrifying realization that these students and teachers did not think that they were going to be the next victims of an epidemic that is tearing through our country. They were kids just like me and my friends, and adults just like my teachers and coaches. I searched for something that separated us, something that explained why this is happening, some reason that this would never happen to us, that it could never happen to us. I found nothing. You never think it's going to happen until it does, and that's the hard truth I learned that day. We have to acknowledge the possibility that we could be next unless we do something. You see, I always thought school was a place where we can go and safely culminate our ideas and beliefs about the world, but without the pain and suffering of it. I now realize how wrong I was to ever believe that to be the case. I was taught to be cautious about my surroundings, but never used to think to be as cautious at school as I am walking down a shooting range. I was wrong. Now, going to school, I try to forget the chance today might be the last. But the idea still looms over my head. The idea that once I walk into the building, I may not be as safe as I'm blindly hoping it to be. I fear that the moment I leave the house that morning is going to be the last time I see my family. The fear that some angry kid with an assault rifle will end the lives of my classmates who have their entire lives in front of them. I fear for the day that I get a text from my little sister telling me that she loves me if anything happens. These should not be the fears that I'm having while in school. I should be scared about a test or an essay, not that I might die. This violence does not start nor end at schools. Last year alone, 15,592 people died due to gun-related incidents. 31,188 people were injured and most scarred for life. 3,970 of the deaths and injury were of teenagers and children. And there were 446 mass shootings across the nation. There are still people dying from gun violence all around the country, and there's nothing stopping us from being the next victim. The victim of a mentally unstable man with as many guns as the Vegas shooter. I live with the fear of being the next 59, 50, 26, 70, or 1. Every day, inside and outside of school. I truly hope that none of us ever have to deal with the loss like the victims of Parkland. I hope that none of us have to lose family or friends to preventable violence. I hope that Congress hears us. We will be so loud that legislators have no choice but to listen to us, to hear our fears and concerns, and do something about it. Because what's happening is not okay, and we will force change. streets, in our schools. We demand background checks that involve more than 16 questions and a quick run-through of more than 3 databases. Background checks that thoroughly investigate records and leaves no room for to be unsure. We demand a ban on assault rifles so dangerous people can't get a hold of dangerous guns. We demand that the sale of large capacity magazines needs to stop. We demand change so our brothers, sisters, sons, and daughters never have to deal with the same fears that we live with every day. So I beg you, call your representatives, don't back down, fight for the lives of your family members and friends, fight for our future. Thank you.
From Maine Gun Safety Coalition.
Wow. That's all I have to say, and ditto. There is a well-organized opposition to the change that you've heard everyone call for. I get very disturbed when I hear people talking about it as being a mental health issue. There are people here who may be taping this or and desiring to, and will be using it on a YouTube channel that they've created. That has happened personally to a member of our organization. The Maine Gun Safety Coalition formed after Columbine. I got involved after Sandy Hook. I applaud all of you here, every single student that is here, because you are the ones. Been able to do this. We have not been able to move the people we need to move to make the changes that need to be made. And there are many. There is not just one problem that guns present. There are a myriad of problems. And each one of those problems requires a unique solution. You will face opposition as you try to create the change, just as one of the other speakers said happened in the 60s. America was dramatically changed during that period of time. You have the ability and the energy to make that happen again. We need Someone else said we need to change the culture. We need to change the mentality. We need to change hearts. I'm here today because I believe you can do that. I saw it happen when I was part of that 60s generation. But I did not participate. I did not walk with John Lewis across that bridge. I did not get on a Freedom Rider bus. I did not, when I was in high school, question where the black children were going to school. I am thrilled that you are here and you are questioning the status quo. You can make this happen. I mentioned that I don't see the gun issue as a mental health issue, and this is why. Every good guy with a gun is a good guy until he's not. I will say that again. Every good guy with a gun is a good guy until he's not. So, what do? Well, you've heard it here from everyone. The primary rephrase that. Arm yourself with facts. There will be a huge wave of opposition that you will face for any change. Arm yourself with facts. You will hear people say things like, they'll use the Chicago argument. Look into that. Chicago is not the most dangerous city in this country. In fact, it's down the list. When you hear someone suggest they know something about this,